The Bears are riding a 4-game losing streak coming out of the bye week. Oh, here we are again. So excited for this crossover episode with, of course, Dan Wiederer from the Chicago Tribune and our dear friend, Rich Campbell, who is a fan, right?
I'm a fan of you two.
Okay, there we go.
Really happy to be here.
Fan of the show, sportsman-like fan of the show. Rich, it's always so good to see you. We need to talk about what the Bears are up against this week, though. They've talked all week about the nightmare that is preparing for Lamar Jackson and his ability. He is the league's most dangerous dual threat quarterback. It's not even close. And how this Bears defense that is aging as we speak is going to be able to contain him. If he's able to go, he has missed the first 2 days of practice because of an illness that is un-COVID related. So either they don't take the Bears seriously and they think he can go on no practice, or he may not be there. So there's a lot of question marks when it comes to this Ravens team.
Well, let's start with this. Can either of you name the Ravens' backup quarterback?
Yes.
It was Robert Griffin last year, and they changed
someone
it
from
to
Utah, right?
All right.
Utah?
You have both just provided the answer on whether Lamar Jackson is going to play on Sunday. Lamar Jackson is going to be on the field Sunday. So let's just put that to bed. That was an awesome exchange there between two very loyal NFL fans. Figure that out. I'm going to save that clip for about 10 years. That's a really good one. Give us the answer. Lamar Jackson is going to play, and the Bears have to figure out a way to slow him down. Good news or bad news is that Lamar Jackson's last time out was on Thursday night against the Miami Dolphins, and the Dolphins found a way to slow him down. The good news is there's a blueprint in there in ways to slow down Lamar and the Ravens offense. The bad news is that was the dud game that the Bears probably hoped that the Ravens would save until they came to Chicago, because now they're refocused. And we talked a lot about the Bears using their bye week to get themselves right and have a little extra time to get healthier, to work on some things they need to work on. Well, the Ravens only played 3 days after the Bears the last time out. So they've had a long week too. And they've been coming off this very disappointing loss to the Dolphins that has no doubt reset them and refocused them. It's now Sean Desai and his defense have to figure out, what can we pluck from the Dolphins game plan to go after Lamar Jackson, and what can we just not use because it doesn't cater to our personnel? It's a complicated puzzle the Bears have to put together. But the Ravens put up over 400 yards of offense on a regular basis, and this could quickly become a chase game. The Bears have to figure out how to make it not be so much of a chase.
And it's not just Lamar Jackson, right? They've got weapons at tight end, they've got weapons at receiver, and requires a lot of discipline from the defense. And you've seen that throughout their season. They'll get, jump up. Some team will jump up and bite them, but that generally is a very well coached team. They travel okay, and just a real unfortunate. I feel like unfortunate part of the schedule here for the Bears to try to come out of their bye week, right, and try to generate some momentum after a bad first half of the season. This is not a team you want to be playing, even if you're at home. The Ravens are favored, and just a lot to contend with defensively, to say nothing of what Justin Fields is going to do offensively.
Yeah, you're right. Lamar Jackson will be there, but this is a Bears defense that has been shorthanded. So there are a lot of question marks for this defense. The way that the Dolphins were able to get after Lamar Jackson was to blitz him. Well, the Bears aren't really good at that. That's not one of their fortes. And so there's the challenge is very, very real. And I would dare to say Sean Desai was a bit salty this week. Kind of like curt with his answers and pushing back on questions and stuff, but he's dealing with the oldest defense in the league right now. And the challenge is very real after 4 straight losses. If they lose this one, then 4 days later, they have to play Detroit, which don't overlook that, because a Bears team doing this can't be beat by anybody.
On a short week, and they haven't owned the Lions for the longest time. They've beaten them consistently, but it hasn't been blowout wins every time they play them. There's always late things that happen in that game that swing it one way or the other. I think that Sean Desai's saltiness is justified, because this defense had higher hopes for where they were going to be at this point of the season. We talked all summer about that beautiful takeaway bucket that they had out at training camp and how fun it was to see guys depositing takeaways in it. And it was going to be this energizing force. Well, guess what? They had 4 in a row in week 2 against the Bengals, 4 consecutive possessions with takeaways deposited in that bucket. They've had 4 defensive takeaways on 88 other possessions the entire season. Not good enough. It has to change if you're going to be a defense that carries an improving and evolving offense, right? You need your defense to have more. This is not an easy challenge. You talk about this rough spot on the schedule, Rich. I talked coming out of 2-2, right? That the Bears were heading to Las Vegas, and it was a 6-game stretch that was going to tell us everything about the direction of the season. Well, they're 1-4 in the first 6 of those. The 6th game is against the Ravens team that's 6-3 is clearly a playoff contender, is clearly one of these teams that doesn't step in it very often, right? That is pretty solid on a week in, week out basis. You got to play very sound fundamental football in all three phases. They're really, really good on special teams also, right? And that can change a game. Justin Tucker can kick a 66-yarder to win a game for you every once in a while. There's a lot of things they have to contend with. And so, look, it's going to have to be a very, very crisp effort on a crisp fall day at Soldier Field on Sunday.
Well, you mentioned that the Ravens already had their dud game, and that's so true. I mean, the difficulty for a team to maintain focus and sharpness is so well documented that for the Ravens to have fallen flat, I mean, not only was their offense held in check by the Dolphins, but Miami's quarterbacks of Tua Tagovailoa and Jacoby Brissett went for over 300 passing yards. I mean, those are arcade game numbers, like fantasy numbers for the Bears. So, you would expect that team has tightened things up and will get the Ravens' best shot.
What is it like for a team to have just one dud game? Like, what is that like? I don't even know if you could say, like, the Bears have multiple dud games. Like, I don't even know what that would be like to be like, oh, they already had that, so they won't have any more. That is certainly not the case with this team. It's a very dangerous place for the Bears to be right now. And I think more so because of the coaching staff and the question marks that continue to swirl around them as they head towards December. I cannot get behind Matt Nagy's, testament that, well, these losing streaks are really callousing us, and what we've done each time is recover from them. I mean, oh, gross. Like, that's so disgusting. Then I can't even to talk about last year. He's the one, again, bringing up the 6-game losing streak and, oh, look how we recovered and snuck into the playoffs, which was just obscene even to say it out loud. But that's what they keep talking about, is how we recovered. You shouldn't be in the position to begin with, not 3 straight years. Like, that people should be fired.
Recovery is good once, right? You get credit for recovering once, and they used that card in 2019. Rich was still with us way back in those days of 2019.
Not for the recovery.
They lost 4. No, I'm saying, but when they lost 4 in a row and 5 out of 6 in that one stretch, and Matt kept telling us on a weekly basis, eventually there's going to be a silver lining. That's all we heard for months of that season was there's going to be a silver lining. I'm confident that this losing streak is eventually going to build us up in a way that there's going to be a silver lining. And guess what? Still can't find the silver lining along with the whys, right, that we're looking forward to fix this team. So, this is one of those games where, look, the Bears had a strange amount of positive momentum coming out of Pittsburgh. Strange. The reaction of the fan base after that loss was different than many of the losses in the last few years because there was that encouraging outburst by the offense. They've got to figure out a way to capitalize on that. I'm not picking the Bears to win this weekend, but I'm not as certain that they're going to lose as I have been in recent weeks. And so, they've got to take advantage of opportunities when they're there and then swing the game with game-changing plays. But, Dionne, as you mentioned, a lot of your game-changing playmakers aren't there. Keep in mind, Allen Robinson hasn't practiced early this week with a hamstring issue, and we don't know, even if he is able to play, how much he's going to be able to contribute. A lot of guys missing, and they've got to figure out answers.
I've said all season that I like this team, the Bears team at home, a lot more than on the road, and this gives them a chance. I'm with you, Dan. Would not surprise me if the Bears win. Would surprise me less if they have that dud game. Game number 4 or 5. 4 or 5. Or however high we are in the stack right now.
So
I don't think they're going to win either. I mean, I didn't even make my pick, but I don't, nothing I've seen from the Bears, even that positive second half in Pittsburgh, nothing that I have seen from this team has me believing that they can put together a game plan that is going to punch a Ravens team in the mouth coming out of the gate. Now, in their favor, Ravens are a slow starting team typically. Like, they're not great right out of the gate. I don't know if the Bears could jump out to a lead that would somehow be able to keep them down. I don't know if I foresee that happening, but I think they can stay in it. I just don't see them winning it.
I'm putting you guys on the spot here because we have to do this. We have to make picks with a score. So I'll start it. I'll give you an extra couple minutes to think about both your score prediction for this game and who the Ravens backup quarterback is in case he's needed on Sunday. And we'll give you answers to both of those things. I'm actually picking the Bears to cover but not win. I'm going to take the Ravens 27-23. I just think Lamar Jackson and that rushing offense is too dangerous for this current version of the Bears defense to keep up with. But I can see the Bears sticking in this game longer than we might expect and being able to stay within the line, which is 5.5 at this point, and be able to keep this game close and score more points than they usually score. That's a testament to what they did coming out of Pittsburgh. So I got Ravens 27, Chicago Bears 23, Dionne Miller.
I am so used to saying the Bears are only going to score like 14 points, but I agree with you. I think that maybe it will be a little bit more than that. So I think they cover too. So I'm saying like Ravens 23, Bears 20.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing.
I like that. I'm close to where you are, Dan. I've got Ravens 27, Bears 24.
Okay.
Close game, decided by a couple of plays here. Just it's see it to believe it for me. I mean, one half of football to the standard. It just tells you about what the standard is and the scars that the fans of this team carry with them from just failed quarterbacks past, failed coaches past, right? I mean, anything. It's like a drop of water for a marathon runner, right? That's a reference Dionne will get. But how little it takes to excite a fan base that is just so starved for positivity and consistency. And so, what an opportunity for the Bears to try to make something of their season, but a bad matchup.
Two last nuggets. Oh, go ahead, Dionne.
Tyler Huntley.
Where did
I
you?
knew it. It was deep in there. I just needed.
Did you look it up?
German.
You looked it up. That's
Of
what
course
I'm saying.
I did.
I was just going to give you two final nuggets, and the second final nugget was going to be Tyler Huntley, but you stole the punchline, and there it is. One final nugget then. The Bears have lost their last 7 games coming out of the bye. That dates back to the Mark Trestman era. The strange part about that is John Fox was 10-3 after the bye in his career before Chicago. Then he lost all 3 of his games after the bye with the Bears. Matt Nagy comes from the Andy Reid tree. Andy Reid, 19-3 after the bye. Well known as the guy who gets his teams ready to win after the bye. Matt's borrowed a lot of that formula. It hasn't worked. He's 0-3 after the bye. Bears have to figure out a way to break this losing streak soon. They have to figure out a way to break this bye week skid at some point. We'll be watching closely on Sunday afternoon. Obviously, you guys should stick to the end of this video to see Rich and my picks against the spread for this is week 11 now. Are we at week 11?
We are at week 11.
Crazy.
Flying by.
We should do this again sometime, though. This worked out well.
Can we do it again? I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll see how my pick goes.
Yeah, maybe.